the day after Christmas. Did Santa Claus bring you everything your heart desired? Or did you just get big bags of coal? Or possibly Christmas just isn't a holiday that you celebrate? Regardless, I don't know. All I can tell you for certain is the Daily Dope is in the air. And for some reason, why is this not switching to my open? It was crazy, folks. Pretty bizarre day today. Anyway, welcome aboard. I am Jeff McAleer. I am the host of the Daily Dope, as well as the Grand Poobah of thegaminggang.com. And thank you once again for joining me. For those out there who celebrate Christmas yesterday, I hope you had a wonderful holiday, full of lots of fun with your family and friends. If you don't happen to celebrate Christmas, I hope you enjoyed a very relaxing day off from work. Hopefully you had the day off from work. And I do want to mention, for those of you out there who celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa. I know that started today. So I had a great Christmas. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Let me grab a sip here. Do want to mention that it is awfully frigid in the Chicago area today, and that means it's pretty cold down here in the Duct Tape Studios. So if by the end of the show, if I start looking like Kurt Russell in John Carpenter's The Thing, with all the ice on my face and everything else, you'll know why. Anywho, so I had a lot of fun on my days off. My nephew Cameron had a Christmas party for a bunch of his friends. They're all high school kids, and I was invited to come over to kind of, bust out games and things like that. So I did have an opportunity to referee a 4-player game of Wild Blue Yonder with 3 players who had never played before, and they really enjoyed it. They really got a kick out of it. And they weren't war gamers or anything like that, but they really dug the game. Played a little bit of Munchkin. I broke out some Vegas Wits and Wagers, which now I have been ordered to bring that with me for a New Year's Eve party that I am attending with 4 adults. So I have been, I'm not kidding, I have been ordered to bring that with me. Played a little bit of Lost Expedition, talked a little bit, some of Cameron's friends are interested in getting into role-playing. So that was some cool conversations we had. So a lot of fun. Yesterday was nice, hung out with the family. I want to mention on Friday, I watched Bright on Netflix. Super disappointing. What a disappointment that was. I don't know. Has David Ayers lost his game? Did Suicide Squad ruin him now? Because I thought it had a lot of premise. It was a pretty cool sort of Shadowrun-ish feeling to the premise of the movie, and I just don't think they really took advantage of that. And then it got to the point where, like, the last 40 minutes, it was just one set action piece after another that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And Will Smith was just kind of doing his Will Smith thing that we've seen a million times before. I mean, the acting wasn't bad, just wasn't very good. Kind of a thumbs down. Oh well, I did have an opportunity to see the Doctor Who Christmas special, and I enjoyed that. And it was very cool to see our first glimpse, at least in continuity, of Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. So that was pretty nice. And for those out there who are still upset that the Doctor is going to be played by a woman, get over it. It's just a TV show. So anyway, got a lot of stuff cooking. I am going to take a look at Gaslands from the fine folks over at Osprey Games. So I know it's not Monday, and on Mondays I want to try to do kind of like miniatures related stuff, and it's also money saving Mondays, so I'll talk about sales and things. But I know it's Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday. So we're going to take a look at Gaslands, and it is a well, it's not post-apocalyptic, well, I guess it is, game of vehicular combat. I do not know much about this. I have not looked in the book. So folks out there already know when I do an unboxing, things like that, I don't dig into something a lot before I start poking around in it. To me, it's a little bit of a cheat. So I know a little bit about the game, and I'll talk about that before I crack it open. But I also wanted to show off, I got a box from the fine folks over at Calliope Games, and they sent me the 3 newest titles that just came out for me to review. And there is Ancestry, so this is looking pretty cool. It's got a little heft to it too. It is family friendly. If I remember correctly, this is ages like 10 and up or 12 and up. And what each of the players is trying to do is they're trying to put together the most interesting family tree, and you gain points for that. So that seems pretty cool. So this is probably going to get the unboxing next week. But I do also have Capital City. I got a bunch of stuff over here. I'm not a bunch, but I got some stuff I got to reach over and snag to show off. So Capital City is kind of a Western themed game where each of the players is an entrepreneur who's looking to have the biggest impact on the town, or I guess we'll say small city, so that they get named mayor. So that's another title from Calliope. And then one that I really kind of sparked they all sparked my interest, but this one kind of stood out a little bit to me. It's because I'm goofy like that. Shutterbug, which is a new game designed by Mike Elliott. In fact, it even says, exclusive new game from Mike Elliott. And in Shutterbug, each of the players, I think it's supposed to be like 1930, and each of the players are photographers who are crisscrossing the United States in search of mystical or mythic creatures and getting photographs for them, I should say, for tabloid newspapers. So that seems pretty neat. I believe there's a little bit of a, not maybe necessarily a cooperative aspect to it. Excuse me. It's also, not only is it cold, it's really dry down here today. But I believe the players can kind of trade like tips on where some monsters are and kind of help each other out a little bit. I am going to unbox this on Thursday. So we are going to get a nice up close peek at this on Thursday. Also on Thursday, Thursdays are kind of RPG related. I don't have a ton of like RPG stuff I can share. I'm still trying to figure out as far as PDFs, what I might be able to do with that, because I don't know how entertaining it's going to be for me to talk about a game for like 15 or 20 minutes and people are just looking at the same static images, like say 5-10 static images just kind of rotating past. I don't know, but I do have some pretty cool tips that I'm going to share for fledgling GMs and players out there. Well, they don't even have to be fledgling, but kind of interesting thing I'm going to talk about on Thursday. On Friday, I am going to review Welcome to Centerville from my pals over at GMT Games. I have gotten 2 games of this in, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until the review before I say anything. It won't be bad. Don't worry. But I don't want to say, oh, yeah, it's really good. Come on. I want to make it a surprise. Tomorrow is War Game Wednesday, and for War Game Wednesday, I am going to break out an unboxing of Here I Stand, the 500th anniversary edition, by the way, from GMT. Also, so we're gonna get into this, so that's going to be pretty cool too. So, quite a bit cooking as far as, and of course, you know, things just pop up, things show up, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, let's look at that. But like I said, the Calliope games just came out last week, so I'm excited to take a peek. I have not played any Calliope games, heard good things, but I had not until I've received these gotten my fingers to touch any of the Calliope games. Anyway, a bit of a slow news day, not a huge news day. There's a few things cooking. So why don't we jump on into the news that I've got? First off, fans of Magic the Gathering should be pretty pleased because they've got a new release coming and it's on the horizon. It's not far off. And it is Magic the Gathering Rivals of Ixalan, and it releases on January 19th. That's right, Magic the Gathering players, you've got a whole new wave of goodness heading your way in a couple of, little more than 2 weeks for some, and around 3 weeks for others, and I will get to that in just a moment. But here is the dope from Wizards of the Coast. Legendary city of Orazca? Let's say Orazca. The legendary city of Orazca has been found, but it will not be claimed without a fight. Now you must outpace, outwit, and overpower your rivals as you vie for control of this ancient metropolis. Succeed, and you will wield the greatest power of the plane. The 196 card Rivals of Ixalan set will be available in booster packs, pre-release packs, Planeswalker decks, and a bundle. The Rivals of Ixalan, and I'm hoping that's right, Ixalan. The pre-release pack includes 4 Rivals of Ixalan booster packs, 2 Ixalan booster packs, a randomized date-stamped premium promo card. Ooh, fancy, fancy, fancy. Drawn from the rare or mythic cards in the set, a spin-down life counter is also included. The MSRP is $25.99. Pre-release weekend is January 13th and 14th. That's why I was saying some folks will have to wait a couple of weeks. Other folks are going to have to wait a little longer than that. The booster packs will include 15 randomly inserted cards, and they will carry an MSRP of $3.99. The Rivals of Ixalan booster display, for those retailers out there, includes 36 booster packs. Draft weekend is going to be January 20th and 21st, and a brand new Magic League begins January 22nd. You can also look for the Planeswalker Deck, and it features a ready-to-play 60-card deck with a foil premium Planeswalker card, 2 Rivals of Ixalan booster packs, a strategy insert, and a learn-to-play guide. MSRP on that is $14.99. Wait, you think that's it? Oh, absolutely not, because there is the Planeswalker Deck display, which includes 6 decks. 2 different decks, 3 copies of each for retailers. The Rivals of Ixalan bundle includes 10 booster packs, a card box, a player's guide with complete visual encyclopedia, 80 basic land cards, a learn-to-play guide, a spin-down life counter, and 2 deck boxes. MSRP on that is $42.99. On a side note, Ultra Pro is also releasing a wave of Rivals of Ixalan sleeves, card boxes, and so forth. So you may want to keep your peepers peeled for those too. So, Magic players out there, you've got a bunch of new cards heading your way. I do want to mention a Magic-related, I don't want to say it's a news item, but it's what I've been kind of hearing through the grapevine. And I understand for the holidays, once again, Wizards of the Coast did a gift box. They titled it a gift box, which is a little strange because, I don't know, for Magic players, it's pretty tough to buy them gifts because they know specifically what they want. And especially someone who doesn't know about the game, you know, parents, grandparents, you know, friends, spouses, whatever, who may not play Magic, a little odd to give a Magic the Gathering gift if, you don't know what you want. And plus, these gift boxes are usually being bought by a person for themselves, which is okay. It's a gift for yourself. But I have heard these did not sell very well, which is unfortunate. I like Magic. I have no issues with Magic the Gathering or Wizards of the Coast. I got into Magic really the year it came out. Elliot and I were up at, Elliot Miller, my best friend, we're up at Gen Con the year it came out, and it hadn't caught yet, right? So it was a new release. We got to play it. We thought it was really super cool. So, of course, we started getting, decks and boosters and stuff like that. And then, of course, the next year, Magic had kind of exploded. It hadn't hit its height of popularity yet, but it was big. And, of course, everybody and their brother had collectible card games that they were releasing at Gen Con, and the vast majority of them were steaming piles. They were crap. But anyway, I do want to mention that, like I said, I heard they didn't move as well as retailers had hoped. So you may want to keep your eyes peeled, because it's possible you may see these get marked down. Now, you can check online. I'm not saying right this moment it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it sometime in January, maybe mid-January, that you might be able to get some pretty good deals on these gift boxes, because, like I said, they did not fly out of stores as, unfortunately, Wizards of the Coast had hoped. Anyway, moving right along to my next news story. And Renegade Game Studios is at it again. I swear, I don't think these people ever sleep, because next week brings the release of 2 more Raiders of the North Sea titles. Yes, 2. Count them, 2. Here's the dope from Renegade. Complete your trilogy with Explorers of the North Sea and North Sea Rune Saga on January 4th. Explorers of the North Sea is set in the latter years of the Viking Age, as ambitious sea captains, players, seek out new lands to settle and control. They will need to transport their crew among the newly discovered islands to capture livestock, construct outposts, and fulfill various other goals. So ready to longships, there are new horizons to explore. The aim of Explorers of the North Sea is to become the most prestigious captain through clever planning and navigation. Players gain victory points by controlling islands, delivering livestock, raiding settlements, constructing outposts, and destroying enemy ships. The game ends at the dawn of winter. Well, at least it's not the dawn of time. At this point, the player with the most victory points is declared the winner. That's normally how victory points work. Explorers of the North Sea is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in approximately 45 minutes, and carries an MSRP of $50. But as they like to say on those TV commercials, wait, there's more. You can tie all 3 Raiders of the North Sea titles together for a massive competition in the North Sea Rune Saga. Oh yes. Build mighty longships, raid nearby settlements, navigate the wild seas, and discover new horizons. Players will be competing in an epic competition, and yes, it will be epic, to collect the most rune stones and earn the highly coveted title of Chieftain. The North Sea Rune Saga is an epic competition, I said epic already, for 2 to 4 players to collect the most rune stones. Yes, players will progress through each chapter of the North Sea Saga: Shipwrights, Raiders, and Explorers. Once all 3 chapters have been played, the player with the most rune stones is the overall winner and takes the title of, you guessed it, Chieftain. I do want to point out, this is not a standalone game, so you do have to own Shipwrights of the North Sea, Raiders of the North Sea, and Explorers of the North Sea in order to play. As I mentioned previously, the North Sea Rune Saga is for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. It's going to play at about 3 to 4 hours. I wasn't kidding about epic. And it does carry an MSRP of $25. I have not played any of the North Sea titles, which is the game company called Garps Hill, something like that, that originally had released the game. But I have heard very, very good things about especially Raiders of the North Sea. I haven't heard a whole lot about the other two titles in the trilogy, but I have heard Raiders is pretty cool. Anyway, so now you can get the third entry into the trilogy and wrap all three games together into a massive competition. Pretty cool. Anyway, on to my next story. Do you think you can rise to another pandemic challenge? Well, you can find out right now as Pandemic Rising Tide. See how I said rise up to, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's probably lost on you. Anyway, Pandemic Rising Tide is now available from Z-Man Games, and I've got the dope. Prepare for a battle with the sea itself. With the threat of flooding from North Sea storms, hey, wait a second, there's like a real North Sea theme to the news today, and overflowing rivers constantly looming over the Netherlands, you and your team have been chosen to construct a modern hydraulic system that will keep the ever-encroaching waters at bay. To succeed, you'll first need to control the flow of water and keep it from spilling too far across the countryside. But storms are brewing, and the sea, she be restless. Gather your team and fight the tide. Pandemic Rising Tide is on sale now. When the levee breaks, and we can jump into a little Led Zeppelin for a second. Oh, no, we can't, because I don't want copyright infringement. Combining elements of the classic cooperative Pandemic experience with unique new mechanics, Pandemic Rising Tide immerses you in a thrilling battle against the elements. During the game, you join the long line of Dutch pump operators, port masters, hydraulic engineers, and other water control experts who have kept the Netherlands safe from flooding for centuries. It is your ultimate goal to modernize the system of dikes and wind-powered pumps that protect the country from flooding by building 4 modern hydraulic structures. But it takes time to collect the cards necessary to construct them. In the meantime, you must prevent disaster by pumping water out of flooded areas, putting up dikes to control water flow, and building ports to facilitate travel. In this environment, there's no telling when storms could hit, and even the smallest amount of excess water can cause major problems. Rather than disease cubes that only outbreak after building up in a single location, the water cubes of Pandemic Rising Tide quickly flow from regions with higher water levels into adjacent regions with low water levels. Yes, because that is sort of how physics works. Yes. You lose the game if the flooding becomes too widespread, so you must make the best use of your character's unique abilities if they hope to succeed. Each of the 7 roles included with Pandemic Rising Tide has their own approach to water control that mesh together in different ways. The director... Cut! Oh, wait. Sorry. Wrong director. Anyway, the director, for an example, can quickly move other players to regions containing water cubes, while the sanitation engineer has the ability to pluck cards out of the discard pile. Only teamwork will give you the chance to stem the tide. Pandemic Rising Tide is for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 45 to 60 minutes, and carries an MSRP of $49.99. Nice. I'm always the first person to mention that the original Pandemic just never grabbed me. I just was not, it's not a bad game. It just wasn't a game that jumped. To me, and I've said it to people before, that it's a game that kind of plays you as opposed to you playing the game. And that's not something I'm a huge fan of. And I know a few people had asked, oh, hey, do you think Z-Man Games is beating this whole pandemic thing to death, like beating a dead horse? And I said, well, no, I honestly don't, because I don't I don't see the same kind of things going on with Pandemic as you would see with, say, and there's an obvious game I could throw out there, which I won't, but like, say, Dominion, when that came out, and that was pretty hot, and then all of a sudden it was just everything from Rio Grande was just another Dominion expansion, and then it was like, wow, you know, how far are you going to push this? And now, I mean, Dominion's just kind of fallen off a cliff. I don't see that with Pandemic. What Z-Man Games has done with the Legacy series is pretty cool. I have not played it. I have heard good things. And honestly, Pandemic Rising Tide isn't really Pandemic. It's just utilizing some Pandemic mechanics. I'm a little surprised that they actually titled it Pandemic Rising Tide on one hand, and then I can obviously see exactly why they titled it Pandemic Rising Tide on the other hand. Anyway, regardless, it is available right now at your favorite local game store or, of course, through your favorite online retailer. Anyway, I always like to save you guys money, you guys and gals, I should say, money whenever I can. Love miniatures. I always like to point out when a cool minis company has something going on that's going to save you some money and get some cool freebies too. And I just had to share that Warlord Games has a really, really cool sale that just started today. Yes, they have rolled out an after Christmas sale. And there's some goodies that you should take a peek at. Because first off, you can get free shipping. And that is on orders of 10 pounds, or I guess I should say 10 pounds sterling, or $16 here in the US. Then they have a slew of armies that are about a third off their usual prices, and that does include about 10% off for this sale. And from what I've seen, and there are loads and loads of these armies, they pretty much cover the entire range of Warlord's system or miniature game systems. I didn't look for sure, but I mean, all the big ones are covered, so I believe that's the case. And I gotta say, there were like 30 or 40 armies that you could get at really nice prices. But I think really the biggest thing going on with this sale is if you order a rule book, and there's 4 different game systems you can order the rule book to, you will get a free box of plastic miniatures. Now, according to Warlord, they say, there's never been a better time to start a new system. How can you resist the temptation with such an effortless choice of any of these 4 rule books, plus a free plastic box set from the collection? This includes Hail Caesar, Black Powder, Pike and Shot, as well as the fairly recent science fiction game that Warlord did, Beyond the Gates of Antares. I want to point out, these free boxes of miniatures carry MSRPs ranging from about $28 to about $38. So that is pretty sweet. All you got to do is order the core book, and you will score yourself a free box of miniatures. Can't beat that. Lastly, as far as this sale goes, they do have a select number of items from the Sarissa Precision Terrain that's available for 10% off. Pretty cool items that I was taking, like buildings and stuff like that. So it's not, I guess, the entire range, obviously, but there are a few different items there. But I mean, to me, the biggest thing is ordering the rule book and getting the free box of miniatures. I think that's a pretty sweet deal. Plus the armies, saving about a third off is pretty sweet. I do want to point out, you have to act fast because this is an after Christmas sale. So I'm certain it will not last very long at all. Also, I have mentioned that if you're a fan of King of Tokyo or King of New York, Yellow Games has a cool giveaway going on right now, and it is for their, it's available for King of Tokyo or King of New York, and it's actually the X Smash tree. Here's the dope from Yellow. we've got a little monster just for you. We're kicking off Yellow Ambassador Allison Hayslip's Drunk's Miss. I won't take a sip to mark that. Of course, this is just Diet Pepsi right now, so I'm celebrating Cola Miss. Anyway, they're celebrating their Drunk's Miss with a one-of-a-kind giveaway. Now through December 31st, you can enter to win the X Smash Tree promotional monster. 2 winners will be selected daily, so don't miss your chance to get this exclusive promo. And Yellow is wishing you luck for that. As far as getting into the contest, if you go to the Yellow Games website, it's simply they're asking you to share on Facebook or Twitter is really how you get into it. It's not too complicated to get a chance at winning the X Smash Tree. There is a second way that you can score this exclusive promo too. And Yellow says, or asks, looking for the perfect gift for the loved ones on your shopping list? Want to support your friendly local game store this holiday season? Now, once again, through, this is through January 31st, not December 31st. When you purchase either King of Tokyo or King of New York at your friendly local game store, you may be able to get a free X Smash Tree promotional monster. Reason why I'm saying you may is supplies are limited. And Yellow says if you decide to keep the little monster for yourself, they're not going to tell anybody. And if and when you get your X Smash Tree, be sure to tag Yellow Games on social media. Cool. I have got to beat Elliot over the head to make him bring over either King of New York or King of Tokyo one of these days when we get together for like Friday or Saturday gaming, because I've never played it. I know, people say, what are you, crazy? Never played that? What's wrong with you, Jeff? Come on, I haven't played every single game out there. Give me a break. But I heard it's a lot of fun. I heard it's pretty cool. Kind of a push your luck. You're watching this, you know more about King of Tokyo or King of New York than I do. That's for certain. Speaking of my best friend Elliot Miller, I wanted to mention he's up to it again. He's at it again. So Elliot decided he was going to swap out his YouTube kind of intro video, which I swear one of these days I have to just shoot a quick little intro video. My channel's been up forever. I don't know why I've never gotten around to doing it. I have no idea. I promise I will roll one out before January 1st. How's that? That's my New Year's resolution. I am going to make sure that I have a YouTube channel intro video. So anyway, Elliot decides he's going to swap it out, and he decides he's going to channel the late Sir Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So let's take a quick peek.
You don't need to hit skip ad. These are the videos you're looking for. You can click subscribe. Move along. Move along.
Get me that signal. We need more power.
When Obi-Wan goes bad. You're not going to follow old Obi-Wan on some damn fool idealistic mission. Voice of E? Of course I know him. He's me. It's as like a million voices cried out for more and then clicked on subscribe.
I really had to start laughing because he's sitting there. Okay, first off, I had to laugh because he really is trying to channel like Alec Guinness with this, because everyone else calls the character Obi-Wan And if you recall in Star Wars, Alec Guinness says Obi-Wan, or like it's completely different. And I had to laugh. And then, of course, when Elliot does the voice of me, of course I know him. He's me. Right? It just kind of busted me up. I do want to mention Elliot has a full gameplay video that just came up yesterday. Posted it yesterday. Oh, guess it was his Christmas present for the fans out there, for the viewers out there. And he does a full playthrough of Isle of Monsters from Mayday Games. Not a title I know anything about. But you can go over there, and this is a little different because Elliot normally doesn't post full playthrough videos. So I have not checked it out yet, but I'm going to take a peek. I always watch all his videos. So, hey, come on. I know some folks are like, wait a second, he's a competitor. Not going to say it again. I'm not in competition. This isn't a competition. Plus, he's my best friend, for crying out loud. All right, so anyway, that is pretty much the news for today, although there was one other item that I quickly wanted to mention as far as saving you some money, because this is going to be the kind of the time of year that you're going to see some game stores, online retailers, as well as some game companies roll out some special sales because they know that folks got a little scratch in their pockets for the holidays as gifts, and they'd love you to spend that on their products. So today is the last day of Victory Point Games' 12 Games of Christmas sale. So they've revealed all of the different titles that are available out there. And I already mentioned last week that Twilight of the Gods was not part of the sale. Healthy Heart Hospital, which I have played and reviewed and did enjoy. Victory Point Games isn't known for like Euro-style games. And really enjoyed that. Plus, it wasn't a Euro game where you were playing in a vacuum. Everybody was kind of working together. So that was very cool. But I did find out that there is an additional title. It may have popped up over the past few days. And it is, as I reach on back here, Cruel Necessity from my very, very good friend, John Welsh. And this was actually a game that I included in my last minute gift giving guide last week. And it is on sale. It's, I don't know. I can't recall the price right off the top of my head, but I think it's about 20% off. And this is an excellent solitaire game which tackles the English Civil War. And it's a good challenge. It's not an easy game to win, but it's challenging in a non-cheaty way. Some games, the AI is kind of cheaty. Not this one. Excellent, excellent game. So you can save right now. Now, I do want to point out, I just mentioned it a second ago, today is the last day for this sale, and the sale will end at midnight Pacific time. So according to my watch, you've got about 10 hours or so to save. As I say, according to my watch, I'm not wearing a watch. Got about 10 hours to jump in and get that. Anyway, let's see. What else is cooking? Was there anything else I wanted to touch on before I jump into Gaslands? No, I don't think so. I had a couple items from the mailbag. I think I'm going to hang on to those till a little later on this week. I think I'll address that. They was just, some... One was a question that's perfect for tomorrow that I could kind of discuss a little bit. So anyway, before I jump into Gaslands here, one of the reasons why I was really interested in taking a peek at Gaslands was that back in the day, Elliot and our friends in high school, Scott and Tim and Daryl and Pete, and I'm sure there's a couple of people that are not popping directly into my head. We were into Car Wars from Steve Jackson Games, and we were there. We got in on it when it first came out in the little ziplocked poly bag, little, kind of sort of micro game-ish release. And we were there pretty much through most of its popularity. And we talked about it, and those out there who are familiar with the Gaming Gang, followed the website for part of the 8 years it's been around, already know that Elliot and I did a podcast. And we would, do news and reviews and things like that, pretty much what I'm doing here. But we would also chat a lot about different games we had played over the years and games that were our favorites and so on and so forth. And Car Wars would come up from time to time. And there was always the discussion of, hey, if Steve Jackson Games ever retooled that for a modern audience, it'd be like printing money, right? At least that was, our opinion. Our opinions on that. What do we know, right? But anyway, then, of course, Steve Jackson Games went ahead and did a Kickstarter for this huge, massive deluxe edition of Ogre, which effectively was Steve Jackson's first major game design that came out. And part of the stretch goals was that if they hit a certain stretch goal, that they were going to redo Car Wars. And they hit the stretch goal, and they didn't redo Car Wars. They re-released a kind of crappy edition of Car Wars. So I don't know what's in their pipeline for that or what. But it's funny because to this day, people still listen to podcasts that Elliot and I did years ago, and will contact me from time to time saying, hey, so what's going on with Car Wars? What's the scoop with Car Wars? As if I have some, hotline to Steve Jackson Games I can pick up and be like, all right, guys, what's going on? Steve, put Steve on the phone. I know, I have no clue. I have no clue if they have plans for Car Wars or not. None whatsoever. So long story shorter, it's already a long story to start with. When I first saw Gaslands came out from Osprey Games at the end of November, kind of piqued my interest because I was kind of curious, because it's a vehicular combat game. And Z-Man Games had a vehicular combat sort of game come out not too long ago called Roadkill Rally, which was kind of funny, and it kind of played on the whole Death Race 2000 sort of angle in that. And it wasn't for the easily offended either. But it still wasn't the whole, you're building the car and all this other stuff. Because that was like the super appeal to Car Wars, was the whole sitting down with your friends or even by yourself and, okay, I got this much money, and then I had chassis, blah, 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 and all the components and stuff. And when the game first launched, I mean, everybody was like super into it. And the game was pretty playable. It was kind of silly because you would play like 3 hours and in real time, maybe a minute had passed. So the time scaling was odd, but we all still had a blast. And then talking about beating a game to death, just more stuff came out and just more mechanics, more helicopters and aircraft and all, and it just made the game practically unplayable. So I have always kept my eyes peeled on different kind of vehicular combat games that might pop up. And Osprey Games was very kind to send me a copy of Gaslands for us to look at. And once again, oh, I see Pinky was up here. Thanks, Pink. Take your hair with you, kiddo. But as I had mentioned, as far as like role-playing game reviews, it's a little tough if it was just, okay, so we're talking about this game and here's just some pictures. It's much more engaging if there's an actual book for us to take a look at. So I was really, really happy that Osprey Games sent me Gaslands, and it is available now. As I mentioned, it came out, I want to say November 30th, 64 pages long, and you can get the softcover book for $19, or you can get it in a digital format. I believe it's an EPUB and PDF. You can get it for $11.99. So it is a post-apocalyptic vehicular combat, and as I mentioned, I don't really know much about this as far as like my unboxing videos, and if I'm doing like a first look kind of thing. I try not to find out too much info about the game. I like to be surprised. But from my understanding, it's supposed to be, the year is supposed to be 2018, and at some point I think man landed on Mars, and it turned out there's Martians, so the Martians attacked the Earth and they took over, and now all the elite live on Mars, sort of like They Live, right? Do you remember that old John Carpenter flick? Although they weren't on Mars, but and then the rest of us are all stuck down here trying to battle for survival. So that's where we get this post-apocalyptic setting. So just a little bit off the back, it says, shoot, ram, skid, and loot your way through the ruins of civilization with Gaslands, a tabletop miniature wargame of car-on-car destruction set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. With the ravaged Earth under the control of the elite on Mars, contestants are forced to compete in front of baying crowds in Gaslands, TV's premier death race. Players take control of small fleets of armed vehicles and engage in battles for resources, dominance, and survival, hoping to make it to the primetime final, where victory means the possibility of escaping the blasted remains of Earth. Cool. So those of you who remember Car Wars, game actually, when it first came out, it was mainly just kind of road battles, and the whole point was it's a dystopian future, and people's entertainment is watching these souped up armed vehicles just battling out, because everybody is armed. Even grandma going down to the store has rocket launchers on her old, her old sedan, so on and so forth. So, but then it expanded out, so suddenly there were arenas and things like that. So I kind of get the feeling, and it's designed by Mike Hutchinson. I sort of get the feeling that Mike may have been sitting there thinking to himself, well, I'm tired of waiting for a new Car Wars to come out. I'm going to design my own. So we're going to take a look through here. And I want to point out, as someone who painted loads and loads of 15 and 25 millimeter historical figures over the years, Osprey always loads their books with a lot of illustrations. That was one of the reasons why, as far as miniature painters would go, especially doing historical stuff, you would pick up the different army books and unit books and things like that, because they had all these really nice plates, uniform plates in the books. In fact, I was speaking about Warlord Games earlier. If you're a fan of like Black Powder or Bolt Action or Hail Caesar or any of their historical miniatures games, they are released in conjunction with Osprey Publishing. So those books all contain tons and tons of artwork from Osprey. They're really, really nice. All right, anyway, let's dive into the game a little bit. So we get a timeline, and then it's talking about Gaslands. Then there's a game overview. It says, here's the 60-second version of Gaslands. What you'll need, well, obviously you're going to need some toy cars, dashboards. What, you got to go get an actual dashboard? I'm sure it's kind of a template. Maneuver templates, dice, skid dice, a table. That usually helps. Terrain, tokens, bases. Talks about the vehicles, and it looks like the vehicles are going to have various different statistics, I guess. So it looks like max gear, handling, crew, weight, hull points, build slots. Is that cost? Oh, cost in cans? Are cans like the currency? then it's going to talk about each of those. So max gear, handling, crew. Talking about the turn. Yeah, that's actually a miniature car there. Can't get too close because I can't get past the tripod here. But anyway, it's kind of interesting because there have been various different vehicular combat games that have come out over the years that can utilize miniatures. And of course, what do most people do? They run out, they buy like Hot Wheels or, oh gosh, what's the other super popular little cars for kids? Well, all right, so we'll say Hot Wheels. I mean, there's umpteen different manufacturers. And then you just go and you prime them. And of course, you can always use like epoxy and things like that. Because, you know, the hubcap area on, you know, a toy car looks kind of silly. So you might even do a little molding on that. Got movement step. Well, it's talking about the turn, gear phase, pole position, activations. There's the movement step. Oh, there we go. Here's pretty cool art. Selecting a maneuver template. Placing the maneuver template. Hazardous maneuvers. There we go. A few more. Yeah, looks like these are just kind of like scratch-built weapons on these too. Applying hazards, sliding. Slide results. Spin results. Skid check example. Final position, moving into final position. So obviously there's a race aspect to this. Interrupted maneuvers. Sliding into final position. Of course, when they're talking about final position, they're talking about, well, okay, so you plan this maneuver, but if you lose control, it's kind of the same in Car Wars. You could lose control and your car does not end up in the place that you wanted it to end, and it's very, very possible that it may not be sitting upright anymore either. So we've got collisions, collision orientations, smash attack, example collision, terrain, road rough, treacherous, the attack step. Yep, you can tell that these are just regular toy cars. Just with paint job on them. So they look more like minis as opposed to little toy cars. Matchbox. That's who I'm like, what is the other name? Like Hot Wheels? What's the other? It's been so long since I actually had to buy anybody like toy cars like a kid. I certainly haven't bought any in a few months. Years and years and years. Okay, so declaring targets for your attack, arc of fire, weapon mounting. So here we're seeing. There we go. Different kind of side mounted, rear mounted, as far as the weapons, range. Line of sight, pre-measuring, rolling to attack. Oh, drop weapons. All right, how much you want to bet there's caltrops in here? I'm betting you there's caltrops. Can't have a vehicular combat game without caltrops. Maybe mines? Let's see what we got. Oh, they're not talking about it. Boo! Damaged. Getting wrecked. Explosions. Wipeout step. Flip check. Flip Wilson, what? Your first game? Creating a team, choosing a sponsor, the size of the team, building a vehicle. And then we got the vehicles. Looks like vehicles, weapons, and upgrades. So the vehicles go anywhere from motorcycles and looks like trikes, cars, performance car, pickup truck, van, tractor. I guess tractor. Yeah, I guess just bobtailing it. Monster truck, buster coach, war rig, gyrocopter, helicopter, tank. Then we got weapons here: machine gun, minigun, rockets, mortar, thumper. And then it's going to talk about the vehicle types. Monster truck, war rig. It's a war rig. I'm gonna guess a war rig is a semi. Let's say, well, it just says it has special rules. I guess we'll see those in a sec. There's some other special rules for some different weapons. Arc lightning projector. Yeah, that's sweet. That's nice. There you go. Another image there. Oh, look at what did I? Okay, here we go. Caltrop dropper. I knew it. Oh, there we go. Got mines down there too. Nice. Oil slick dropper, rams, kinetic super booster, a thumper. And we got vehicle upgrades with armored plating, nitro booster. Okay, and then we got playing a game, hiring your team, choosing a scenario, team games. Rutherford. Oh, I wonder, maybe these are sponsors? Slime? Maybe they're either sponsors or teams. There we go, the death race. Dun dun dun. Talking about the setup. Cool. Looks like these are quite a bit more scratch built, it looks like. Okay, so ending the race. Other scenarios. Saturday Night Live. Talking about that. Arena of Death. Zombie Bash. Okay. Monster Truck Smash. Oh, look at that. It's like a monster truck bus. That's pretty sweet. Got a plow on there. Nice. Advanced rules, perks, sponsors. Oh, yeah, I guess those are the sponsors because it says Grant Rutherford. Sponsored perks, driver perks. Aggression. Oh, driver perks. Aggression, daring, military precision, speed. Oh, it looks like, honestly, it looks like this is pretty packed with stuff for being 64 pages. Because there's not a ton of fluff in here. Technology, advanced rules, the war rig. Yeah, there it is. It's a semi. Oh, semi and trailer. See, cabin trailers. They're talking about the special rules for it. Articulation. Shootings, spins, wiping out, jackknifing. Then we got some advanced rules seasons. Audience votes. Oh, that's nice. Afterthoughts. Organized play. It's a quick reference. Yeah. Two sides of that. And then, here we go. Now we've got some of the templates. Looks like these are vehicle sheets that you would fill out when you build your vehicle. Oh, then we got some templates over here. I'm not sure if that's movement or weapons. Guessing maybe it's movement. Slide. Oh, now we got like turn keys, turning templates. Hairpin hard, turn, veer, swerve, gentle. Nice. Cool. Looks like I'm gonna have to go run down to the dollar store, pick up some little cars to check this out. This looks pretty interesting. Very nice. So that is Gaslands, and as I mentioned before, Gaslands, you can get the softcover book for $19 from Osprey Games, and you can get the PDF, or I'm almost positive it's EPUB, for $11.99. Nice. I really would love to get into more miniatures games. It's just, I don't know. It's just, sometimes it's kind of difficult. Plus, you know, I had this thing about playing with unpainted miniatures. I'll do it if I have to, but honestly, I love the look. That's you know, that's part of the whole appeal of that genre. Miniatures games is to have painted miniatures. So cool, very nice. Hey, you know what? Here's another thing. Speaking of miniatures, so I'm looking at, because I'm trying to introduce my nephew and his friends to just different sorts of games, because they're all video gamers. And so far, just about everything I roll out there, they're like, wow, this is really cool. Oh, they had no idea this kind of, well, my nephew obviously does. But most of his friends that have no clue any of this stuff's out there, right? Because it's not on Xbox or PlayStation or PC. And I'm thinking, if for those of you out there who've played, you know, like naval miniatures games and stuff like that, I really want to introduce them to Fletcher Pratt's Naval War Game. And it is a longtime favorite of mine. It's been years and years since any of us have gotten a chance to play it. But my brother's played it, and Elliot played it tons. I could regale you guys with stories from good old Fletcher's, as we used to refer to it. And I did a review for a book that I think is wargaming.co came out with a few years back, which was the original Fletcher's rules and a bunch of extra stuff in it. And the book was just a disaster because it had not been formatted properly, and it was through Lulu. So, for an example, like the Knights and Magic rules that are available from the Gaming Gang, if you want the actual, like a book, a hardcover or soft cover or whatever, it's through Lulu. And the thing is, you got to make sure that everything's formatted perfectly. Otherwise, it's all messed up. And this book that came out from wargaming.co wasn't formatted right. So there were all these oddball symbols and like question marks and little diamonds and stuff where there shouldn't have been any. So it was a complete mess. It was practically unreadable. That's how bad it was. So I gave it a really bad review, which kind of killed me because Fletcher Pratt's Naval War Game is an old favorite for many, many people. Anyway, long story short, or I should say long story shorter, I'm looking to get my nephew and his friends, and of course my brother Greg and Elliot, and yeah, I might find a few other people, because you don't have to necessarily be into naval warfare to really enjoy playing Fletcher Pratt's Naval War Game. And I'm going to give wargaming.co another chance, and I'm going to download from Amazon. They've got it available on Amazon. So I'm going to check it out, and I will let you know. Because I always felt kind of bad about, I shouldn't say felt bad. I mean, the book was practically unreadable. So you can't give it a thumbs up simply because you like the old rules. But maybe if it's not a complete mess, then I might revise my review. And of course, once we get to playing some Fletcher Pratts, I will maybe shoot a little video or something like that to share. Anyhow, yeah, I know. It's a slow news day, so I had a lot of extra time. Chat a little bit. Told you before. Just kind of conversational. We're just talking about games, having a little fun. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. And once again, I always appreciate all of you stopping by to take a peek and kind of hang out a little bit, get the latest news and find out some stuff. Got a few different things cooking for January that once we hit the new year, I will announce. It's just stuff I haven't started kind of including in the show yet, just because I want to make sure I get kind of the technical stuff done, get a grip on that. Anyway, so, but I'll have some, well, maybe some promos. I know I've got some giveaways coming. Anywho, when you're not watching The Daily Dope, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on. By now, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I will be back tomorrow. And until then, try to stay warm. I'm actually sitting here like this with my arms because it's kind of chilly down here, like I mentioned before. Not just chilly, it's cold. Anyway, so I will see you tomorrow. and have a great rest of the day.